things she said, all the things she said. So that's the theme song?
Not really the theme song. It's just a very important scene.
Oh, okay. You're going to tell us about that very important
Sure.
scene. Hi, everybody. My name's Todd Adams.
This is Kathy Adams. This is Zen Pop.
Zen Pop. Should we tell people what Zen Pop is?
Yeah, basically, it is our Gen X take on pop culture. Most of the time we spend time talking about Gen X movies, music, etc. And we go really deep. We've got categories that we talk about, and we kind of get into our own personal experiences, but also what was going on in the culture. But today, we are not going to do a Gen X show. We are going to talk about a 2025, because it came out in December, or November actually, show called Heated Rivalry that is already, people already know what it is. It's already kind of made the rounds, if you know what I mean. The guys in the show were on Golden Globes. They're everywhere. It's already huge.
They're hot.
They're hot. But I thought, actually, Todd's the one who said you want to talk about this.
Yeah, so just so everybody knows, Kathy and I don't have any bosses other than ourselves and each other. So we get to do whatever we want. And we promised everybody last week after we did A Few Good Men, because we wanted to honor the memory of Rob Reiner, we were going to do the sure thing today. And neither one of us prepared for the sure thing. And Kathy's been talking about Heated Rivalry. And we're just mixing it up. And we want to talk about something current. And Kathy has a lot to say. I haven't seen the series, but I will. And Kathy has been at her computer for the last hour, kind of getting prepped for the show. And
we will do the sure thing next week, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those of you
unless we come up with something better.
I love the sure thing.
So do I. We watched it.
Movies. Yes.
So we are going to talk about Heated Rivalry. It is a series. What was Netflix?
It actually came out on a channel called Crave, and that's
Crave.
Canadian. Okay. But then it was sold to HBO Max.
All right, so it's on HBO. So before we set the scene, I'll tell you the reason I want to do the show. One is I'm always trying to get creative on catching different people and giving our audience kind of a different thing to think about versus 80s and 90s movies. Kathy's just been talking about it. So I just floated it to her and she's like, maybe. And then as we get closer to pressing record an hour ago, we're like, all right, let's do it. So here we are. And if you haven't seen it and you're interested, I'm going to be that person because I haven't seen it either. And if you love it, and it seems like a lot of people love this show, maybe you'll have interest in hearing us chat about it.
So as far as people, if you're listening to this and you are a regular listener or you're new, it doesn't matter. I think that women love listening to things like this because they love Heated Rivalry. The show has really kind of been important to women, I think ages 35 to 60, maybe younger. I think Gen Z likes it, but my daughter's kind of like, I don't like it as much as you did, but she maybe is not as hyper focused on it as older women are. I don't know. I'd love to hear from some Gen Z people about it, but I also think it has a lot to say, and I wish more straight men would watch it.
Yeah.
I noticed because my algorithm in in TikTok and in Instagram Reels right now is all either political, Heated Rivalry, and the Chicago Bears. I mean, that's basically all I'm getting. And I noticed that there are some men, podcasters, straight men, who are watching it and kind of talking through it, like, their experiences with it. And obviously the queer community, deep appreciation from the queer community, because I think it's a better representation of relationship than maybe a lot of shows offer.
Yep.
So there's just a lot of different audiences, but what I'm going to be focusing on today is mostly the perspective of women.
All right.
And maybe the women listening can be like, if they are married to a man, say, hey, listen to this or watch this show.
So Kathy just walked into the office that we share saying, I want you to watch the show. And I said I will. And a little apprehension, not because of the subject material, but more because there's a lot of shows that I want to watch that I don't have time to. So, but because I love my sweetie, I'm going to watch it. Are we going to watch it together again or no?
Yeah.
You really want to watch this again? Have you seen it twice already?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
And I read the book.
Boy.
That's not a problem, though. That's
not
the
a problem
whole
at all.
thing.
Sweetie's on board.
And it's not. And again, let me say this. my daughter Skylar always talks about that there's some things like songs and TV shows and movies that have drugs in them. And what she means by that is that it just kind of gets in your system and you just makes you feel good. Okay. So, right now you may be thinking of a song that you put on that makes you feel good, or like a TV show you used to love, like, Comfort or whatever. It has drugs in it. And I think there are some movies that have had drugs in them. Number one, Twilight. I got really into Twilight a long time ago. I think Normal People has a lot of drugs in it. I got really obsessed with Normal People, which you haven't watched that either, Todd. I think you'd love that.
Okay.
And Heated Rivalry has drugs in it. And I think there's a lot of reasons why, which we're going to discuss today. Like the title of this podcast is Why Heated Rivalry Matters. I think it matters. And so when you're like, oh my God, you're going to watch it again, it's not hard to watch. Do you know what I mean? Like it's got drugs
easy
in it. Yeah. And my edits, like I said, on Instagram and on TikTok, I see edits from the show all the time. And it's not just people watching it. It's a really deep dive into characterization and things that people say. Like, people are really picking this apart in the best way, not picking it apart and like
complaining. They're
complaining,
just dissecting it.
They're like, look at the shadows here. Look at the way his face is. Look at the way that they're, look at the colors. This is orange. This is blue. There's a lot of thought put into this show. And so there's a lot to it.
So the only thing I did to prepare is wear my Blackhawks jersey because it's about two hockey players.
Yeah.
And when I
nice.
knew we were doing on Heated Rivalry, I had to, this clip, it came up.
You want to take it from the top?
Yeah, let's try it.
Okay. You, the heat will roll you. Baby, don't you know?
Such good singers.
My heat.
Here we go. Let's kick it.
Here we go.
Come on, come on, come on, come on.
Oh my
All right.
God. It's such a great
That is
scene.
not from Heated Rivalry. That is from Boogie Nights.
Yes, it is. We should do Boogie Nights. Oh,
We
by
should.
the way, we had an idea for February because Valentine's Day is in February.
Mm-hmm.
We want to do movies where there's
Infidelity.
affairs and infidelity and betrayal. So stay tuned for that, maybe.
We might do that.
Okay, so can I set the scene?
Please.
All right. So because I haven't seen this, I asked my AI partner to give me a summary of what this show is about. So in case you haven't seen it, I'm going to give you a 3-sentence summary of what this show is about. Act 1, and tell me if they got it
Sure.
right, because I won't know. The Great Betrayal. Uh-oh.
No.
That's the wrong one.
It's like there's no betrayal.
It's actually the Heat Rivalry, and it's about Pat Riley's divorce. Oh my God.
I'm just laughing because you would put something into chat if it would think you want something
things
about
have
sports.
Well, this is about sports, right?
It is, but just the fact that that's what it gave you.
I'm going to try this again.
There's also a movie that has Florence Pugh in it that's called Heated Rivalry, so
Okay.
you should be very specific.
What should I say? Heated Rivalry.
Heated Rivalry, Canadian hockey,
Canadian hockey.
queer. Just put in a lot
series.
of words that it
Hockey
will understand.
series. 3-act. 1 sentence each act. Let's see what it comes up with.
Okay.
This is why I love chat. All right.
Do we
let's
love
try it
chat?
again.
Go ahead.
The Proximity War, 1980s. Let's
Okay.
see if we get this right. The 1980s peaked the rival. No.
No.
Steve Smith.
Oh,
Chat does not want to help me out.
chat is not a fan.
I said Heated Rivalry. It's I said Heated Rivalry Canadian Hockey Series 3X summary, and they're trying to come up with a rivalry from the
and-
80s.
Yes.
I'm going to put queer in there and see what happens.
Okay, but you need to also put TV show
Okay, I'm going to say
because it's not a real life thing.
TV show, two
This
queer men.
This is great podcast content.
Well, it's
by
kind
the
of
way.
funny. Let's
Is
see what
it?
happens.
And if you don't get it this time, I'm
No, I don't have it.
okay. I'm reading it.
You go ahead.
So this is obviously a sports romance set, in hockey. And the teams that they talk about are not real. So it's fictional. It's fantasy. Obviously, it's a enemies to lovers hockey story. Follows rival players whose competition.
Oh my God, I have it.
Okay, let's.
Sorry. Thank you for your patience. Act 1, The Secret Spark.
Okay.
Does that sound about right?
Sounds about right.
After meeting as teenage prospects,
Okay.
Shane Hollander
There you go.
and Ilya
Rozanov.
begin a clandestine. What does that word mean?
Clandestine.
What does that word mean?
It means like it shouldn't be happening.
Okay. High stakes physical relationship that complicates their rise to fame on rival professional teams. That's Act 1.
Correct. Absolutely.
Act 2, the neutral zone crisis.
Okay.
As their casual hookups evolve into deep emotional intimacy, the pressure of maintaining a heteronormative public image while playing for opposing teams pushes their secret romance to a breaking point. Act 3, the long game. Oh, you don't like that.
I don't like breaking point. There's no breaking
Fill
point.
in the blank. What did they get wrong? How would you?
Again, they're just trying to sell the show, but there isn't a breaking point.
And I gave it 3
Okay,
sentences.
go ahead.
Act 3, the long game. Faced with career-ending risks and cultural barriers, the two men must decide if they're willing to redefine their identities and sacrifice their privacy to pursue a genuine future together.
Kind of.
Okay.
I think that what happened is because it's a book series,
Yeah.
it kind of brought in everything.
Yeah.
And really, we're just talking about one book, which is Heated Rivalry.
Okay.
Because this show comes from books
Okay.
that are written by Rachel Reed. And it starts, and so it's a series. It starts with the book Game Changer, which interestingly, they make episode 3 of Heated Rivalry Game Changer.
Okay.
So they don't tell you that, but you're watching episode 1, episode 2, and it's Heated Rivalry, and episode 3 is the book Game Changer, basically.
Okay.
So Game Changer, and then and Tough Guy, and Common Goal, Role Model, and The Long Game. And The Long Game is a continuation of Heated Rivalry, which comes after Game Changer.
Okay.
So I think they were trying to give you the whole story,
Okay.
which is fine. But this was adapted into a TV series from Rachel Reed's novel, and it was adapted by Jacob Tierney, who I mentioned to you. Do you remember what he did before? He did Letterkenny and
Oh, yeah,
Shoresy.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So we watched Letterkenny for a while. We're not caught up, but there is definitely a type of sensibility in Letterkenny.
So you see the connection between Letterkenny and this?
No, Letterkenny has a lot of absurdity,
Yeah.
and very defined characters. I mean, I guess Heated Rivalry does too, but I'm not saying you see. It's just that Jacob Tierney already has a name for himself. He's won awards. People know who he is. People love his shows. It's got a cult following.
Yeah.
So to have him do this is not, such a stretch. That's kind of what I mean.
Okay. So I'm realizing I'm really going to have to focus on you today because I've never seen any of this. So
Yeah.
otherwise, I'm going to be lost in space. You gave me 8 different clips that we may or may
did.
not play. So I just want to remind you of that.
Right.
And then you tell me what categories that we want to go to or.
I will.
Okay.
I will. So I think maybe the first thing I want to talk about is we're still in Set the Scene, right?
Yep.
So it's starring 2 guys who were basically unknowns before this. They were in small things, but not a lot.
I assume good looking guys
Yeah,
because they're
definitely.
on TV. Most TV people are good looking.
They're good looking guys, but I think they very much fit the characters that are written in the book.
Okay.
Okay. So Shane Hollander, he's played by a guy named Hudson Williams. Shane in the book his mother is Japanese. His father is she's of Japanese descent, and his father is just
biracial
typical
guy.
white guy. And so he's very pretty. He's very interesting. There's a lot in the book. There's a lot of like how interesting his looks are. He has freckles. He's a good looking guy, and he's kind of he's hit like, especially at the beginning, his mother's like, you're like a new type of hockey player, right? There's gonna be a lot of kids looking up to you, especially of Asian descent. Like there's a lot of pressure on him, not just as a new hockey player, but as representation. Okay. So I think they did a good job with his, the person who's playing him. Then the next guy, the actor's name is Connor Story, and he plays Ilya Rozanov. And I thought from reading the book that Ilya is very different in the TV show. Didn't bother me, but Ilya in the book is a very tall guy, a much more masculine, like looks much older than Shane.
They seem like they look. I'm looking at a picture of them, and it looks like they're about the same age.
Yes, and I think they I love Connor Story in this. First of all, Connor Story is not Russian, but he does a Russian accent through this whole show.
Oh, good for him.
And
It's probably not an easy accent to grab.
no, and it's fantastic.
Oh.
Like there's no question that he did that perfectly, okay?
Yeah.
But he's not exactly like he's described in the book. Like there's a part in the book where when he's in the playoffs and he grows a beard and Shane talks about how he can't grow a beard, but Ilya can.
Yeah.
And this Ilya in the TV show is not a beard guy.
Got it.
Like he's a much more chiseled, beautiful man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's not many of us out there, sweetie.
I know,
Go
honey.
ahead.
I knew you could relate to
Yes.
that. And then there's a lot of other characters, like especially in episode 3, there's a lot of new characters. But then one of the women in it, one of the only women, is Sophie Nélisse, who we love from Yellow Jackets. She's young Shauna.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I love that she was in it.
Is she Rose?
She is Rose Landry, yeah.
Okay, because I'm Shane.
Yes, you are. So this is, again, this show consists of 6 episodes. It's already been renewed for season 2. And what I wanted to have you do is play a clip, and I
Okay.
gave you the time in there, of Hudson Williams and Connor Story, who play the lead, 2 people, talking and having a conversation, because part of the reason this show matters and has become so big is not just the show itself, but how these 2 actors and men are with each other. They're very good friends. They are not afraid of being emotional, physical, really lovely with each other. So this is just, I don't know if it'll translate that well on podcast, but go ahead.
That you are part of my soul family.
I wish I was on
So
the same
I didn't
page.
have to shut up. You know that's not true. You know that this is real.
Hi, I'm Hudson Williams,
And I'm Connor Story.
and this is Cosmo Goes Deep.
Alrighty, let's go.
Okay, what is the most Canadian thing about me?
You say sorry a lot. You also mispronounce a bunch of weird words.
And whenever I compliment you, you have to instantly throw it back to me, and I'll be like, "Oh my god, that clip of you doing this," and then you go, "Yeah, but did you remember when you did that?" And everyone was amazed by it. I'm like, "Just take it, take it."
Just take it.
What was your first impression of me?
Freak, artist, enigma, sriracha mayo, kimchi.
Why are these all food related?
That you just gave me.
I just
appetite.
made you hungry.
hungry. What is the hardest line to say in your accent?
The hardest word
That I think only comes up once, which lets you know the nature of this story is girl.
because with a Russian
Girl.
accent, I go, "Do you like them?" This is my impression of you, by the way.
I don't know. I haven't tried them yet.
No one else liked that. except
Yeah, and then I go, "No, girls." It's so hard to say girls.
Girls.
Because the do you like them? Girls. Girls. Girls.
You like them? Yeah. Girls.
Very good.
So that is like one of like a million edits I've seen of these 2 talking.
Yeah.
And they're first of all, they have no problem being funny, sexual with each other. You know, like just they're like, oh, it makes you hungry, or
Yeah.
just give it, like, they're very fine with the characters they played. They're very comfortable with each other, which allows us to feel at
Comfortable,
ease.
yeah. The more comfortable they are, the more comfortable you are.
Correct.
Well,
and they're just lovely.
Well, and I often wonder, like, 2 people that have sex scenes and then they're doing an interview together, like, we've been naked together. Like,
Right.
is this weird? And most of the time you hear actors say, well, it's so mechanical and you have to, like, know where the...
Choreographed.
Yeah, you got to know where the camera
Yep.
is, and there's no intimacy in it. And it's weird that, and maybe that's not true. Maybe sometimes people do feel intimate with one another while they're filming a scene, but I always think that that's strange.
Well, it's interesting. This has nothing to do with Heated Rivalry, but I just listened to an interview with Jodie Foster, and she's been an actress since she was like 12 years old or even younger. She was as a baby, and she was just talking about that as she got older and she started to do more sexual type scenes. That just with the other actor, you have to figure it out. Like, how are we going to do this? And
Yeah,
we're
you're
going to move
dancing
like
in a weird
this.
way.
And she said the first time she ever had an intimacy coordinator was when she did True Detective, and she was like, oh, here we go.
Oh, yeah.
This is great,
Yeah.
because now instead of with the other actor,
You got somebody who's good at this,
And
who's
so-
not the director of the movie.
exactly. And so you feel like you have a little more trust and faith in everything going on. Because the other thing the intimacy coordinator does is they remove people from set that don't need to be there.
Protect the actors
Yes.
from the least amount of embarrassment or uncomfortable situations or whatever.
Well, these guys, as actors and as performers, it's very believable and I want to say the word lovely, and I don't just mean the sex scenes. I just mean the way they are with each other.
Yeah. Well, and this is a little bit of a risky question, and I don't even know why I want to ask it.
Sure.
But are these guys gay? Are they straight?
Everybody
should I
asks.
Should
Everybody
I
asks.
not even like? Why do you care, Todd? I'm just curious. Like, because that is even a higher degree of difficulty in acting if you happen not, or maybe it's not. I don't know.
I don't think it is. I mean, it's like there are, I don't know because I'm not an actor, but I think that's the whole point of acting.
Yeah.
You know, even if you are a heterosexual man making out with a woman, that's not your partner in real life. You're acting.
Right.
So they don't really want to say. They're not like upset at the question, but they just want
And that's
their
probably
privacy.
the first question they get. It's the first one I came up with.
But it looks like that Hudson Williams has a girlfriend. It looks that way. There's been a woman he's been seen with that he
Is that
brought
the
to the
dark-haired
Golden
guy, or is
Yeah.
that the other guy?
Yeah,
Okay.
he plays Shane. And then Connor's story, I don't know, but there's a little more talk. Again, I'm on a lot of edits that he might at least be bisexual or gay.
Okay.
And Ilya in the TV show. In the show, Shane realizes he's gay, but Ilya is bisexual.
Okay.
And he knows that because he's been with lots of women.
Say that again. Shane realizes he's gay. And Ilya is
bisexual.
Okay, got it. Okay, good.
Okay, so I can move on?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was going to go through, I'm not going to talk much about episode 3 because I don't think it's super relevant to what I want to discuss, but episode 3 comes from the book Game Changer, and it's basically about a hockey player, one of the very best hockey players, and he is gay and is not out at all. He falls in love with this guy named Kip.
So this is a completely
Completely
they just
different
put
story.
a different.
Well, let me
okay,
explain.
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
So that's why I'm saying this. So he's in the same league as Shane and Ilya,
Okay.
but this is his story, and he's knows for sure he's gay. Like there's no question. But he meets this guy named Kip who makes these smoothies for him, and there's an obvious attraction. Like Kip's like, whoa, this is this hockey player, and he's definitely flirting with me, right? And so it's them getting together, and basically Kip is completely out and like has a life, and he's not closeted, but it's the hockey player who is kind of like, I'm trying to remember what his name is, Scott Hunter.
Okay.
Scott is like, I can't. There's nobody out in the league. I can't do it. I'm going to cut to the chase. At the very end, Scott wins the cup, and all the family is coming down to the ice, and he motions to Kip to come down.
Okay.
So they kiss on TV, and Shane and Ilya are watching it.
Oh.
And they
In different places.
in different
Yeah,
places, and it's a huge turning point for them.
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
Abby Wambach. Remember when
She did
in
the
the
same
World
thing.
Cup?
Yes, she kissed her wife.
And this is like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't even know if was it her wife at the time?
I mean, they did get married. I don't know if in that moment they were
It's
married.
just we were so less involved back then, and it was a bigger story. Now it's like whatever.
Yeah,
but
now
anyways.
it's like that's her
Yeah,
partner, that's
yeah.
her wife. Yeah, so it's that. The only reason I wanted to share that is because that does play a role, and Scott does come back in the final episode, and he's alluded to, like, have you talked to Scott?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's just part of the premise. So I want to just say 3 reasons why I think this show is so popular, and then we'll move on to the other categories. Number 1, there's a lot of
Hold on.
Thank you.
Number 1, go ahead.
There's a lot of emotional depth and vulnerability.
Okay.
It's, we'll talk about the sex in it, but these are emotionally vulnerable male characters who talk about feelings and let themselves be known.
Okay.
Okay. So it's a big real reason why we get so invested,
Yeah.
because we know them.
Yeah.
You get to know them. And it's a little bit unpredictable. Like, there's scenes. And again, with the book, the reason I enjoyed the book is because you get into their heads. And so you know exactly what they're thinking. And it's unpredictable in that there's not like some big breakup and big like there's dramatic things that happen, but not the way that it traditionally does.
Kind of like in Boyhood where nothing happens, yet it's a really good movie.
Yes, with a little more action.
Okay.
But yes, you're kind of like, oh, good. We
Yeah.
didn't have to do that whole tropey thing, right?
Like the typical 3-act. Something big
Yeah.
happens. I don't know.
Yeah, you're kind of like, I can trust these two.
Yeah.
You know? The second reason I think it's so popular, it's totally a new kind of romantic narrative, right?
Okay.
Instead of a typical rom-com arc, which is always traditional, right? You know the rom-com arc, right? You know, meet cute, they meet, they get together, they fall in love, they have to break up, something has to come between them, and then they meet each other, they run to each other at the airport.
Yeah.
You know? This is more of like a slow burn. It's over the course of somewhere between 6 and 8 years. And obviously it's a queer story, which makes it different, and it's at the center of a sports drama.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? There's a lot
Yeah.
of like interesting things. So we've never seen all this together. Okay. And then the third is that, and this is just kind of the fun part of, you know, for people, it's got viral appeal. Everybody's talking about it. There's a, you know, Saturday Night Live this week, they spoofed it when Finn Wolfhard was on. The guys were at the Golden Globes. Like I said, there's edits all over TikTok and Insta. So if you haven't watched it, you don't know what people are talking about. And so those are just some basic reasons why it's so popular. I'll
Yep.
dig into it more, but let's go to Remember When.
Before I do that,
Yeah.
you said feel the burn, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a deep burn. Oh, it's so deep. Oh, I could barely lift my right arm because I did so many. I don't know if you heard me counting. I did over 1,000. You have your uvulus
She's
muscle
so-
that connects to the upper dorsimus.
My God.
What, I can't say the word exasperated. She's so exasperated
Oh
by
my
all of
God.
them.
Yes.
Remember when they're calling her
Yeah.
and they're like,
oh my God.
there's a car
we
that's
gotta,
going to come
we
pick you
gotta
up.
do Anchorman sometime soon. And we're just going to play clips the whole time.
She's so good in that, by
Yeah,
the
she
way,
is.
Christine Applegate. Okay, so Remember When.
Number I thought, did you do all 3?
Yeah, I did. Emotional depth, a new kind of romantic narrative, and viral appeal. I remember when.
I remember when we decided this an hour ago that we're going to do it.
Well, and that's why I'm kind of being funny
Yeah.
by doing Remember When.
Yeah.
This is the story I'll tell. On December 8th, okay, I subscribed to a podcast on the Ringer network called Prestige TV. And it's usually headlined by a woman named Joanna Robinson and often Mallory Rubin, who's also on it. But on this specific day, I saw that Joanna Robinson was talking to a man named Richard Lawson. And I'm going to go...
You're going to nerd out a bit.
I'm going to nerd out a bit, and this would be stay on target for sure, but it's important to me because it's kind of fun.
Stay on target.
Wait, that this happened.
Nerd alert! Nerd alert!
You need something that says touch grass, nerds. Okay.
I'll find it.
I used to listen to a podcast years ago on Vanity Fair that Joanna Robinson was on, and she's a very knowledgeable pop culture.
Yeah, you love
person.
Joanna.
And she used to talk with Richard Lawson on this Vanity Fair podcast, and so I loved listening to the two of them. Then she moved over to the Ringer, and she's kind of with a different crew. But on this day, December
She brought
8th,
him back.
she brought Richard in, and I said, "This is so great." Now it said, Richard and Joanna talk about Heated Rivalry. I didn't know what that was, but I wanted to hear them.
Yeah.
So the only reason I'm telling you all the details is it's really random that I would have even listened to it. I was just like, oh, they're back together. So I'm listening and they're talking about this show. Richard is queer, and he was talking about, you know, why he liked it and why the men he knew were appreciating it. And they only talked about episode 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
And they're like, we may not talk about it again. It kind of just depends if people watch it,
Well, it
which is
turns
funny.
out, yeah.
And so I listened to it and I was like, oh, I'm going to watch this. I'm just interested in what it's like. So I watched episode 1, 2, and 3. And I know Todd walked in the bedroom a few times and was like, what are you watching? Because it was very sexual in nature. Don't you think that you were like kind
I
of...
feel like I heard from you and maybe one of our kids, like, are you sure you, like, it's not like, so I'm, as a straight guy, I don't like go out of my way to watch two guys kissing, but it's not a big deal.
Okay. Well, I think it was more like, I don't know if I had told you what I was watching.
Yeah.
So it's a lot.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
just be real.
Yeah, yeah.
You haven't seen it yet, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
And not too much. It's just if you're watching passively,
Yeah.
this is not a family show.
Well, and nor is any movie or TV
No
show
matter
with sex
who's
scenes
having sex.
But the fact that it's two guys, it's just a little bit less than typical.
Right, for you to walk in
Of
and
course.
continue watching. Okay, so like I said, so I watched 1, 2, and 3, and what I will say is I liked it and I liked the characters, but I was kind of like, okay, you know, whatever. And then there was it was December, so there was this period of time, and I think I'd caught up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there was another episode to watch yet, and so I was like, whatever. But I wasn't that interested. And then I watched the last 3 episodes, and I was like, I love this show.
Okay, so you went from a like to a love because
Yes.
it ended strong.
Yes, and it built.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, oh wow, I had no idea this is where it was going.
Yeah. Was it a slow burn?
It was
You have your ubulus muscle that connects to the upper dorsimus.
Go ahead.
it was definitely a slow burn. So then I talked to my daughters to see if they had watched it, and JC watches a lot of movies that like queer content because she herself is gay, and so she has more information about what's out there. And you know, and she was kind of like, yeah, it was okay. Like she didn't love it the way that I did, but she thought it was good. But it kind of reminded, like she and I then started talking about shows. Like I used to love Queer as Folk. I used to love the L Word. I used to really love all, you know, like some that are less like fun to watch, like Longtime Companion and the band Played On. For some reason, I've always really enjoyed queer characters and shows. Like I don't know if it's because I want to see something different or just I'm interested in it like I am everything else. But so we kind of talked about that, and I feel like this show is a really big turning point or at least it shines a light on something new, which is obviously mainstream appeal, which I'll get into more. But, you know, it's just there is a lot. It's sometimes interesting, and you could like talk me through this, like why something hits. Because what JC was saying to me is like there's plenty of shows out there with queer characters, right? This is not like a new thing. But why it got, I don't know if it's because it was on HBO. Like, why does something hit like this?
I don't know. I was actually going to come up with a theory that's a little tangential, but
Okay.
I think the reason you like it a lot more than maybe Gen Z is because this is the water they swim in all the time.
Right,
and
true.
we grew up in this homophobic environment in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. So they're like, oh, yeah, whatever. And you're like, oh, my God, can you believe this? So that's my theory.
A little bit, except for that prep of what I was just saying, is I've always kind of watched
Right.
shows.
I get it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I do not know
Yeah.
why this kind of floated to the top.
Yeah, I don't know. But regardless, that's where we are, and I'm ready for. Actually, I was going to say I'm ready for random facts, but let's see if there's another clip that you could play.
Yeah, let's see, because we got 8 of them.
We have 8 of them. So I think the first one that we have is we did Connor and Hudson. Okay, so.
The tuna melt?
The tuna melt. And before you play tuna melt, this clip, I want to say that this is about midway through the show.
Okay.
And what's basically happening in the first couple episodes is they are definitely having sex and they hook up whenever they can when they're in the same city.
Because they're on rival teams.
They're on
sweetie.
rival teams. It's heated, this rivalry.
It is.
And so whenever they're in the same city, they hook up. And this is the first time that
They make a tuna melt together?
well, it's that that they're talking and kind of having a domestic experience
Yeah,
that they
they're-
don't normally have.
Yeah, because it's usually about the sex and
And then they move on. They're
Yeah.
like, I gotta go. I
Yeah.
gotta go.
I got to go to Alberta to play in my next game.
And if you were going to see, Todd's going to play the clip for you, but if you were to watch it, you would see that Shane is very confused by what's happening.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, here we go.
You like tuna melt?
You want to make me a tuna melt?
I was gonna make one for me, I can make 2. You head to Florida after this, right?
Yeah, right after the game, Tampa, then Sunrise. Then we go to Dallas and St. Louis.
Ah, all the hot spots. Ginger ale good enough?
Yeah. it's
Pause
great.
it for a second.
Oh, pausing.
Good.
Okay, a few things. So they never really talk. They talk about like who they're playing, but they don't really talk about hockey together that much. And so he's like asking him, where are you going next? All this kind of stuff. And then the ginger ale is important because Shane doesn't really drink that much. And Ilya has noticed that Shane likes ginger ale and he bought some.
Oh,
And so there's a lot of
little
like.
forethought there.
So as we go on, do you mind if I pause you a few
No.
times? Okay,
Because
so
it's a 2.5-minute clip, so I hope you pause me.
yes, so Shane's kind of like, yeah, okay, and also let me say this: Ilya is the more reserved, brooding, powerful. Like he's the one who flirts with Shane first. Okay,
it.
we'll say like
More
he's
aggressive, more
and
initiative.
even in their sexual, experiences, he's definitely
Taking
more powerful.
charge.
Exactly. So this is really like Shane's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Food will be ready soon. You know this guy, Ryan Price?
Yeah, from playing against him and not wanting to fight him. You did a season with him, right?
Okay, so pause it for a second.
They're sitting on the couch way
They're
far apart.
sitting on the couch way far apart.
Even though they've had sex with each other.
A lot.
Yeah.
Like years. And but this is also the first time they're like talking about like hockey.
Yeah.
They're talking about this sport. Now it's like when I say that, of course they've talked about it, but not in like just a passive, like, what do you think about playing this team? Or where are you going? And this also, what Ilya is about to say about this next guy, it kind of demonstrates that he understands people a little better than Shane knew.
He's not what you would think.
How so?
Like, he's quiet, doesn't talk, keeps to himself. Not bad guy, doesn't make friends.
Well, he gets traded every season. Tough to make friends that way.
And probably he wants to get traded again. Buffalo is terrible.
Yeah, and their team sucks too.
And people say you're not funny.
They do?
Yeah. They say you're boring too.
Who says that?
Me.
So pause it for a second. So first of all, Ilya's really funny through this whole thing. I know, but he through the whole show calls Shane boring. That's his like big. First of all, Ilya doesn't have a really good grip on the language, so he doesn't have a ton of words. So anytime Shane wants to talk about something he doesn't want to, he'll always say it's so boring. So that's like a word that he uses all the time. But I just think it's funny because he's like, who says that? He's like, me. Which he probably does. He probably tells people that all the time. But another thing I want to say that is Shane, some people who watch the show think that Shane might be on the spectrum. I don't, he could be, but I think it's irrelevant to his character because they say that because he's so simplistic about the way he thinks. He's very literal. And he's very like, they have this sexting relationship for a while. Ilya says something like, how many times can you orgasm in one day? Just trying to be like kind of hot and heavy. And Shane like answers it for real. He's like, well, 2 or 3, you know what I mean?
Counting them up.
He does. And Ilya's like, oh my God, this kid, like this guy, like he's not a kid. This guy is so literal. And so that's the thing is Ilya's always trying to like, he's not a manipulator, but he's always kind of like trying to be sensual and sexual. And this guy's so sweet. So, okay. So you can keep
when
going.
you ask him a question, he answers
He answers it.
Yeah.
What's your favorite city to play in on the road?
I like New York, because it's New York. They hate me there.
They hate you everywhere.
But no, not Florida. It's full of Boston people. And you?
I like Ottawa, because it's my hometown. Toronto, Winnipeg, I'm happy they have a team again. What? Are those boring answers?
Yes.
Well, I like the hot places too.
What's that?
You can stop it.
Oh, okay.
I think that that scene, as basic as it is really the first time they've talked about these things.
Let's talk about normal stuff.
And everybody.
Let's talk about work.
Let's talk, right. And Ilya in the league is the one that everybody hates. He's the AJ Pierzynski.
Yeah.
Who's another example of that?
Bully. Oh, I don't know. Bill Lambier from the Pistons?
Yeah. Like the guy in the league that everybody wants to. And so like he says, everybody hates you everywhere. And he's like, not in Florida. Because he's on the Boston team. So Shane plays for Canada. He plays for Montreal. And Ilya plays for Boston.
Got it.
Okay, so I'm ready for random facts if you are.
Let's do that. Why don't we?
Jared, do you know the human head weighs 8 pounds? Jared, do you know the human head weighs 8 pounds?
So the show just came out, so I don't have a lot of like random facts about things that happen behind the scenes or maybe who was going to play these roles. It's not really that, but this is just kind of more about, I think, why it's good and what they were trying to do. Fans say the show works because it just keeps the long arc of a relationship less about will they, won't they, and more about they always will.
Yeah.
And so you just enjoy their growth rather than the worry about them breaking up.
Yeah.
I know that because of the books, I know there are points in time that Shane wants to break it off with Ilya and Ilya wants to break it off with Shane, but you don't know that in the TV show because you're not in their heads.
Got it.
So there are points when they're like, we got to stop this. You know what I mean?
So the dumb question, nobody knows that they're together, correct?
No.
Got it.
Nobody.
Okay.
Literally nobody. And that's not a thing either. The trope of like somebody does know and wants to reveal their secret, not a thing.
Okay.
Now they have to be very careful, and their whole thing about where they meet up, they're very careful. So they make sure nobody knows. But there isn't, there's actually, when I rewatched it, I saw this, it's an interesting scene where Shane comes over to Ilya's and he is like pissed that Ilya doesn't answer the door fast enough. And he's like, dude, he goes, you're right next door to Scott Hunter. We don't want him to know. And the irony is that Scott Hunter is also gay, but they don't know that. And the thing is, it's not just about their queerness. They're rivals. How will their cities feel about, like, at the end when mom finds out, because the parents find out, and that's not traditional either. They do a wonderful job with it. The mom says, now, Shane, you never let Ilya win, did you? And he's like, no, I never. But can you imagine fans being like, wait a second, you know what I mean? Like, these guys are together. How did that skew the game?
Yeah.
There's more to it than just their queerness, even though that's probably the biggest part.
I just asked chat if there's any openly gay hockey players in the NHL. Any idea what it said?
That the first man just came out because of this show.
Yeah, so there's no openly current ones. There's one that's kind of coming through the ranks. He's under an NHL contract, but he currently plays for the Bakersfield Condors, wherever that is. But real life coming out just last week on January 15th, former high-level player Jesse Cordium publicly came out and citing HBO series as his inspiration for reconciling his sexuality with sport.
Which is why pop culture matters. I'm just going to do a little, not really a plug, but an explanation of why Todd and I do this show. The reason why I think music and television and movies are very important, of course, is because they teach us about ourselves and what's going on in the world.
And it has influence, and it could be positive or negative.
We develop self-awareness, we develop bravery, we develop a sense of self by watching things on screen, see it to be it kind of stuff. Also things I don't want to be, also perspectives I would have never considered. I think because as a Gen X person, that I grew up on pop culture watching so much, and there was so much content available to us in the 80s, that it really shapes my brain. And that's why I love talking about these things. So also another thing, the hockey scenes in the show are actually praised for being kind of messy and real.
Realistic? Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that they're
not. That's a really tough sport to make look real in movies and TV.
When we watch it together, you tell me what you think. I think because women are saying, maybe other people are too, but there are plenty of female hockey fans. I'm just not a big enough fan to be like, this is real. I watch a little bit, but not a lot.
It's funny. I was just shooting hoops with my buddy Jason, and he loves the movie Hoosiers. We've all seen Hoosiers, but it's so like highly choreographed, and you can tell it's choreographed. And in the movie Blue Chips with Shaquille O'Neal and Nick Nolte, and just there's no choreography. They put real players in the game in the story, and they just let them play, and they just record it. So it's like real basketball, and it's just pretty cool. But those are the exception. It's almost always highly choreographed actors trying to do stuff. Instead, they got the athletes and just threw them in. Anyways.
Or like Teen Wolf, which was excellent basketball.
Sweet Michael J. Fox. He was a really bad basketball player.
Yeah, and they kept looping the same shots.
It wasn't
great.
Bad.
It wasn't great, but it doesn't take away from the wonderfulness of Teen Wolf.
That's what he wants to do, Teen Wolf.
I do. Ugh. I love Teen Wolf. Okay, so for what it meant to us then.
Yes.
So the other thing is a lot of the people who read the book. So I did it opposite. I watched it and then I read the book, but there's a lot of, it's pretty faithful to the book. I mean, obviously you can't see in their brains and know exactly what they're thinking, but the sex scenes are definitely faithful to the book. Like the way that they lay out the sex scenes, that's how you're seeing it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so it was pretty emotionally faithful. I mean, sometimes there'd be like, oh, and this isn't really just about the sex, but like they would be standing up somewhere versus laying on the couch. Big deal, you know, that you've got to do what you got to do. But it was pretty faithful. And then the show has a lot of tension without dialogue. Like, for example, there's a lot of texting in the middle of the show, and a lot of times texting is a crutch, you know, like you're like, oh, they're going to text and we're going to get all this context and we're going to get all this information, and it can be boring, you know, and they use it really well. I mean, I thought so. I think that we got a lot of information about where they were, what they were feeling, what was going on, their fears, their like, their vulnerabilities through texting.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty helpful. And then the fan base, as we've already talked about who it is, I'm going to speak for the women who are watching. We're very detail oriented when watching this, meaning, like I already said, we're noticing things like I noticed when I was watching that there's a lot of scenes where Ilya says something under his breath before he starts talking, or he preps himself. Like he'll say, there's this scene when Shane's going to come sit down next to him when he's at the bar, and before he takes a drink of beer, he says, okay, and then drinks a beer, but then is super like strong and powerful while he's talking to Shane. But because he said okay, that he's really nervous. There's stuff like that.
Okay.
And there's a lot of like, oh my God, under their breath while they're having sex, because there's a lot of like, you realize they're actually, obviously they're enjoying it because it's sex, but they really care about each other. So there's a lot of like, people watching are seeing these details, when they're talking, there's shadows behind them. They're in the, there's a lot of good stuff like that.
What I hear you saying is it's a really well shot, thoughtful sex scenes.
And just thoughtful show overall.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot, like, for example, I think for the first 3 episodes, maybe into the 4th or 5th, Ilya is shot in a certain way where he looks really sharp and chiseled and lot of like power. I keep using the word power, but that's what I think about with him. Strength, not as vulnerable.
Yeah.
And then as you get into the last couple episodes, the way they shoot him is totally different because he has more come into himself, been more real about who he is. So, and again, this fan base, it spans generations. It's kind of bringing us all together, ironically. And so I think that's it for random facts. I don't really have, it's so new.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything.
Okay. Where are we going?
Let's go to WTF.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
It did, didn't it? What do you got?
The sex.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's the WTF of the show.
So say more. Like, what do you mean?
Well, let's see. When you are reading romance novels, there's something called the chili pepper scale or the spicy scale. And so then you kind of know how much sex is in a book.
So what's the one?
The highest is 5. And this book is a 4 or a 5.
What is the the shades of gray, Grady shades?
The Grady shades?
Yeah.
Shades of gray. Now you must, I can't come up with it. 50 Shades of Gray.
Okay. What is that, a 5? Is that a 1? Any idea?
Gosh, good question. I bet it's at least a 4.
It's called the chili pepper scale?
Chili pepper scale or spicy scale.
I'm going to look at while
Sure.
you talk.
And so, like I said, the book is true. The TV show is true to the book. So it's a lot of things, I remember when I was first talking to people about it, a lot of sexual content that we didn't really know existed. Do you know what I mean? If you are a woman, you're like, oh, that's new.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. And so there's a lot to kind of learn and discuss. I think it's interesting in that way.
So for people who've never heard of this, I've never heard of the spicy scale. 50 Shades is 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. I was right.
So if you score a 1, it's called chili, and it's sweet and clean, no sex scenes, physical intimacy is limited to kissing. Number 2, it's called steamier. Sex is mentioned or happens off screen, fade to black. Number 3 is called Open Door, detailed sex scenes that are integral to the plot, but not the sole focus. Number 4, high heat, explicit, frequent graphic and descriptive scenes. 50 Shades fits here. And lastly, erotica. The sexual encounters drive the entire book. Often includes taboo or extreme kinks.
So I would probably put Heated Rivalry in 4.
Okay.
Because I don't, for me, that's where I would put it.
Okay.
But so, why I'd say it's a 4, it's explicit on-page sex. So a lot of times, especially with queer relationships, they have it fade to black.
Huh.
You know what I mean? They just show you enough and they don't fade to black.
Mm-hmm.
It's also repeated intimacy over the years.
Yeah.
It's not, you're seeing the same 2 people in a lot of different sexual experiences.
I just asked the internet what's a 5, and they gave me a bunch of movies I'd never heard of. But the 4s I've heard: Basic Instincts, Secretary, Unfaithful, 9.5 Weeks.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
The sex scenes are emotionally charged. You know, sometimes people, like in a sex scene, you're kind of like, you look away or you hide your eyes, and it's not always about the sex. Sometimes it's about the emotional. Like, there's a scene in this show that I felt like I shouldn't be there, not because of what I was seeing sexually, but because it was so intimate between them. You know, like they have such a moment.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and again, it's
Sounds
a show.
like exactly what the director wants you to do.
I mean, they're acting, and I was like, oh, this is like their moment. I shouldn't be here. So it's obviously, with that said, there is a lot of heat and it's steamy, but it's also very, is there another word for tender? I don't love the word tender. But it fits.
Sweet.
But tender is more than sweet, goes a different direction in my brain. Give me some synonyms for tender.
I don't feel like thinking today.
Okay, then that's fine. And also, the power dynamics in this relationship, there's a lot of trust and always consent. Okay? So you're never uncomfortable like, oh no, someone doesn't want to do this or someone's not into it. They really make consent in the book too, a big part of it, but not in that like way where you're like, wow, they're taking you out of the scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's more a part of their relationship. They're very thoughtful with each other.
I'm going to give you a few words to choose from instead
Okay.
of tender. Sensitive,
Okay?
raw, soft-hearted,
Soft-hearted, yeah.
compassionate, susceptible.
I like soft-hearted.
Let's go with that.
It's a soft-hearted show. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's probably the biggest part of this is that it just by nature it's a spicy book, and you just got to know that going in.
All right.
And so I'm ready for Rolling in the Deep, which is really the
Where we're going to
best part
spend
of this
most
show.
of our time.
All right.
So yeah, so we're 51 minutes in. So
Right. This is good. This will be
All right.
this will be it.
All right.
So I like this conversation because Todd runs a men's group called Men Living, and they focus on healthy masculinity and what all the different ways of being a man instead of staying trapped in a man box.
Yeah.
Which is very focused on
Winning,
sexual
sexual prowess, status.
And that not only harms men, it harms women and it harms culture.
Yeah.
Okay, so men have they have difficulty escaping from this more patriarchal box.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ilya and Shane in this show are two versions of masculinity. Okay, two different versions. So Ilya is power and sensuality and performative dominance. And I say performative because once you get to know Ilya,
He's soft.
Exactly. Yeah. So he moves through the world with confidence that reads like power. Again, highly performative, actually like does, kind of tells Shane to do things, like, and is always surprised when Shane wants to do it, know? But his dominance is not cruel. It's the healthy kind of dominance.
Strong.
And it's strategic for their relationship. Do you know what I mean? Like, and also his dominance, take it out of the bedroom, take it out of the sexuality. He has to be that in culture for his team as a Russian. There's a whole subplot about that he's so afraid to talk about his relationship with Shane or how he feels because Russia is not okay with homosexuality.
Correct.
So he can't, he has a scene, like a breakdown scene where he's like, don't you understand? I couldn't go home.
He's got more at risk.
As a Russian and because of his history, people want him to be the villain.
Yeah.
So he kind of rides that wave in hockey. You know what I mean? Hockey. We should have pulled that up.
Yeah.
Hockey. So culturally, Ilya is a form of masculinity that society already recognizes, right? So it's more acceptable or desirable. He kind of fits an archetype of power that we're used to when it comes to guys. Okay. Shane is the same age, but he's kind of coded younger, even though they start rookie season together.
Yeah.
So they're the same age.
Right.
And so Shane looks younger, reads younger, but he's more emotionally present and he's unguarded. So like I said, Shane, Ilya asks him questions and he answers them.
Yeah. So he's got less armor.
Completely.
Okay.
He's an only child. His parents love him dearly. He loves his parents. They're very involved. Like something that Ilya is really jealous of or envious of is Shane's parents come to everything.
Yeah.
Ilya's parents, his mom died when he was 12. He found her. She took her own life.
Oh, boy.
Okay. So she had depression.
Yeah.
His dad's a jerk. his dad's never really been good to him, and his dad now has dementia, and his brother hates him, and he just doesn't have.
He's alone.
Shane his masculinity is not performance. It's built on availability, sincerity, and emotional transparency. Like, awesome, right?
Yeah, honest.
He does not dominate a space the way that Ilya does. He just inhabits it. He comes into it, and he's so popular. He's the most liked guy in the league.
Got it.
Right? His vulnerability, though, is not a tactic. It's just how he is, and he allows himself to be seen. He's just like, this is who I am, and this is what I do. Obviously, he has a lot of deals. Like, there's a lot of shows about him. He's on TV all the time. He has a lot of endorsement deals. Like, Ilya's like, oh my God, this guy's on TV all the time. He's soft-hearted without being apologetic, you know? And so he's safe and reliable. And for Ilya, he's been such a soft place to land, right? And why this contrast matters so much is that it's like power and tenderness in the same relationship, right? We're watching men, you know, it's like the same gender, but they're two different kind of people. But Ilya's dominance never like overwhelms Shane. Like, I got to be clear about that, because this is not traditional.
It's not overpowering.
Because Shane is not competing with him. He's not trying to be like him.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be like him.
Exactly. He's emotionally present. Like, there's a lot of like, Shane will ask him questions, and Ilya will be like, I don't want to answer. And Shane's like, why? Like he's just soft-hearted with him. So, and with Shane though, so what does he get? With Ilya, he doesn't have to be so on and because everyone in the league loves Shane. And so whenever people stop him on the street, he's like, yeah, I'll sign this. I'll do this. And he has to be so on in a different way, but he doesn't have to be that way with Ilya. Right. He can be more like, you know, call him an asshole and be that kind of guy.
Chill out.
So Ilya gives Shane containment and intensity, not a threat.
Okay.
And so it's like, you know, and this lands because, I wrote this out the best I could. So women see Ilya as a kind of man who is allowed to be powerful, and Shane is the kind of man who is often punished for their softness, right?
Of course. Can't be soft.
But seeing these two guys coexist is really awesome. It's really enjoyable. There's no hierarchy between the two of them.
Yeah. So they're both men. They're just men differently.
That's it. They're both men. And there's no, you know, you would think, okay, well, then Ilya has more power and control. Well, he like at the very beginning, he starts things, but Shane is just as powerful. Yeah. And so Shane's.
Well, and with Ilya is more powerful, and within that, there's softness. That's probably not unconsciously being hidden, but there's probably a part of Ilya that wants to be soft, and he
can't.
Overcompensates by being powerful. And Shane, the other guy, probably has a sense of softness about him, and when he needs to or he can be powerful, or he could be powerful through his softness too.
And think about this. Let's take it off their relationship. They are the two best players in the league.
Yeah.
So when they go into the league, the first competition they have is who will get picked first.
Yeah. Who's
going to be rookie of the year?
Don't tell me, because I want to be surprised.
I'm not going to tell you. But that's they're coming. So there's not one that's better than the other. They go back and forth. Yeah. So here's something women love too. Ilya's dominance, when it's paired with care, genuine care, it shows that power does not have to equal harm.
Right.
Right?
No, power could be great.
Power
can set boundaries. Power can do wonderful things, and power can also be abused, and he doesn't abuse it.
He doesn't, and power can make you feel safe.
Sure, of
and
course.
that helps with Shane. So what's this fantasy underneath all this? The fantasy is that dominance becomes safe. That vulnerability doesn't have to be extracted or demanded. You don't have to be like, you have to be more vulnerable with me. That's not the plot. It's that it's offered freely.
Yeah.
Shane's like, I'll be vulnerable.
Yeah.
No problem. And then
how much is Ilya?
Yeah.
How is he vulnerable a lot or not at all or what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is.
In the traditional sense. Like he has this persona of this is how he has to be as a hockey player or blah, blah, blah. And then when he's able to drop his guard, he gets soft.
Okay, so I'll have you play a scene, one of my favorites, and it's not going to translate completely, so I'm going to have you just play a little bit of it. It's number 7.
Okay, what's the name of it?
It's called Russian.
All right, let me see if I can pull that up.
So this scene is, it's later. I don't know if it's episode 5, I think. And basically what's happened is, I hope I don't ruin it for you, but Ilya's dad does die.
Okay.
He has to go back to Russia. So Shane hears that, like, there's this, stuff going around where everybody's like, Rozanov had to go back to Russia. He didn't go back with his team. And Shane's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So he calls them, which they don't normally do either. And, they do this beautiful thing. Well, you just play and then I'll explain it.
Tell me if this is it, just because
Okay.
there's different names that you gave it versus what it says.
Hey, I have an idea.
Yeah.
How about you tell me everything that's on your mind, but in Russian? I won't understand, but maybe it'll help.
Okay. Я никогда больше сюда не вернусь.
Do you want me to read the subtitles?
That would actually be great. And
He says
will you watch how Shane listens to him too? That's really important. Okay, keep going.
He says, I never wanted to come back here again. I fucking hate it here.
И все меня ненавидят.
And they all fucking hate me.
Я за все плачу.
I pay for everything.
Я слежу, чтобы у всех были нормальные вещи.
I make sure
Чтобы
everyone
еда была
has clothes they like. I make sure the food is perfect.
на уровне. Чтобы отец был похоронен рядом с его
That father is buried next to his parents. So he's doing all the things.
родителями. Чтобы могила была идеально сделана.
That the tomb is perfect. The only fucking word I ever hear is...
Я хочу больше, Илья. Мне нужно больше, Илья. Больше, 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 больше.
I want to hear, I need more Ilya. More, 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 more. So Ilya is the famous hockey guy. So everybody's extracting stuff from him because he's got the money and the fame and the power.
And there is underneath that, like I said, his dad is a police officer, his father and his brother is a police officer. They're somewhat corrupt.
Yeah.
And they treat him this way. And there's also this underlying homophobia.
Yeah.
They know enough.
Yeah.
And they hate him for that.
Yeah.
Too.
Do you want me to keep going?
No, you know what? Because I don't want to
he-
ruin anything for anybody because it gets better.
And he's just, Shane is just doing some, I call full body listening. Like he's
Yes.
totally present, holding space. And it's such a wonderful idea. I don't, even though I didn't even know the story, but there's probably something cool about being able to speak in your native tongue.
He says right before that, Shane says, how are you feeling? And he keeps saying, I don't know. I don't know. He said, it's too hard in English.
Yeah, of course.
And so
It's wonderful.
Shane says, why don't you just talk to me in Russian and I will listen. And like you said, he closes his eyes.
Yeah.
It's very beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful scene.
Nice.
And listen to Connor Story's accent, right?
Yeah, it's
like,
very good.
isn't his Russian incredible?
I don't know how they do that.
I don't either.
I
And
suck at accents. Actually, I got a buddy who, whenever we get drunk together, he makes me play, we put accents in a hat because I'm
Yeah.
so bad at it.
Yeah.
And he just laughs louder and louder.
do you go Irish?
I just do, well, first of all, I'm forced to know what it's like to have an Austrian accent.
Uh-huh.
And I don't, so I just wing it, and he takes pleasure in my
Inability.
misery. Yeah.
Well, and I just think it's funny because everybody always, no matter where you start, like you'll be doing an English, being an Englishman, or you'll be trying to be Scottish, and then everyone all of a sudden goes Irish.
Yeah.
For some reason, we always go Irish. Okay, so again, there is this they model a version of masculinity where strength and softness are opposites but complementary.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I want to go into why women trust this relationship.
Okay.
Okay. I'm so excited to talk about this because I'm like Todd said, we decided to do this an hour ago, and I started writing, and I was like, okay, this is why. Because why does this have drugs in it?
Yeah.
And like I said
And
at the
this
beginning,
is your best guess of why.
yes,
it is.
I think so. Number one, I have about 9 of them.
Okay.
And let's see, I might skip over some, but number one, power never turns into entitlement. Okay. So the power that Ilya
So when
has.
you're thinking of worst case scenario men, the men who have power usually translate into some sort of abuse.
Desire is mutual.
Yeah.
There's no sense that their sex or emotional access is like payment for anything. Nobody's giving,
Nothing transactional.
Nothing transactional. So that's first. Number two, vulnerability is not used as leverage. Shane's vulnerability is never taken advantage of. Okay. And he's not the only, the story in episode 3 about Kip and Scott. There's none of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 3, there's no emotional labor imbalance. Okay. Neither character is in charge of handling the other's emotions. They do it themselves. The care flows both ways.
Surprising. I figured you would have said Shane kind of is better at holding space than Ilya, but.
Well, I think that, like I said, they complement each other.
All right.
So there might be a scene or two where Shane doesn't, he's not like, you got to tell me how you feel. It's never like that.
Yeah. So it's almost like, although Shane is the vulnerable one that's better at holding space, he's not doing it from a disempowerment perspective.
Okay, I play a scene and then we'll talk about it. So play number 5, it says Shane says he's gay, but I do be getting to 46 and then stop. We may stop a few times in there, but this is a scene where Shane realizes that he's gay because he doesn't know. They just know that they hook up a lot. I know that sounds crazy, but...
What?
No, number 5.
Sorry, I don't think I'm going about this the right way.
So not that one. That's number 4. So number 5. Did you not get the email?
I got it. I got 8 windows here. So
Got it. I thought I wrote it.
What do you want, Hollander?
Okay.
We get together with Simple.
Simple.
It's simple for me.
Bullshit. I think I'm gay.
Oh yeah, what makes you think that?
You're not gay.
No, not completely.
Yeah, well, I think I am. Completely.
Okay, so you're gay, so what?
Well, it's kind of a big deal. To me, at least. Sorry if I'm being boring again.
Okay. All right, that's interesting.
Is that to 46 seconds?
That's to 46.
So there's a scene, and we may play it later, but that comes before that, where Shane is dating a girl named Rose Landry, who, like we said, is Sophia Nélisse, and she is an actress, very famous. And Ilya is totally jealous while they're together. But she, because she's been in the theater community her whole life, she kind of can spy.
Yeah.
She sits him down and says, that was the thing you were just going to play, is where she's like, I'm not quite sure you're into me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, again, another not typical.
Yeah.
She's like, I love you and I care about you, but you're not
Instead
into
of
me.
a big, huge breakup or whatever.
Exactly. There's no, and she's like, let's be friends and and what he realizes in that conversation is he's finally like, I'm just gay, because he has some funny lines that.
So, question. So Shane is telling a guy that he's had sex with that he might be gay. So is his and Shane's struggling with saying this out loud. Was there a part of him that was hoping he was bi, and now he's just realizing he's gay? Okay.
Yeah, I think because Ilya's with women all the time, and he really is bi. Like, he loves women, and he has a woman in his life that loves him, and so they talk about their options in life going forward. Ilya could get married to a woman and go forward, and Shane's realizing that's not going to be his way.
Yeah, right.
And I also want to say, people who watch the show know this, but they always call each other by their last names. So he calls him Hollander and he calls him Rosanov. One of the most intimate scenes is the first time they call each other by their first names.
And is that like a protective thing? Like, I'm not going to drop in and call you by your first name, because that would mean that we're really a couple or something like that.
During the tuna melt scene, which you already played, they have sex again, like after they talk. And Ilya calls him Shane. And Shane leaves.
Scares him.
He freaks out. So he's about to, in the next scene you're going to play from the same clip, but 109 to the end, he apologizes.
It's this. Being gay is one thing, but this your arch rival is another thing.
That's right, there's a secret.
I know that, but last time... And for the record, I am sorry about last time, okay? I'm sorry I freaked out. But before that, it was nice.
It was.
Want me to pause?
You can stop, because do you see what I mean about how that's not what you'd think he'd say? You think they'd say, well, no, it wasn't, or blah, blah, blah. But he's like, it was.
Yeah.
It was. So when you're like, oh, I thought, like when Shane is vulnerable, Ilya can be vulnerable too.
Yeah.
He may argue with him about what they can do in the future, but there's never like, you're stupid, or they don't make each other feel bad.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Sure, of course.
So I kind of feel like we could, that can be a stopping point for that.
Okay.
So, repair is real and not performative. Like Shane freaked out and left because they call each other by their first names. And, and then they don't see each other for months, right? Because they only see each other when they're in town.
Right. They probably only play each other 4 or 2 times a year.
And in between that time, he started dating Rose. So Ilya was sad.
Yeah.
He was jealous.
Yeah.
And then, but Shane says, I am so sorry I did that. Like, it's not like...
Yeah, he's owning his piece.
He's owning
Love
his
it.
piece. And,
Initiating repair.
So when they hurt each other, there's repair on both sides. There's no grand gestures of like, here's flowers.
Yeah.
I'm going to bypass
They
this.
talk it through instead of do all that stuff.
Accountability, conversation, reflection. Women trust relationships where conflict leads to growth, right? And so...
All conflict should lead to growth, but mostly conflict leads to destruction.
It does. And something that I've been talking to some friends lately who've been having breakups, and something that I try not to be like, well, what Todd and I do, because I don't want it, it's not comparable. Like everyone has a different relationship. But I think one of the reasons that you and I can talk about really difficult stuff is we've done it so many times.
It's a muscle you got to flex.
And that when I bring up something really difficult, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You know that it's not a deal breaker. You know that it's not like, oh, now I see you differently. This is just a thing. And how do we talk about it?
Whenever I get dysregulated or you get dysregulated, when I'm in a good place, I actually shared this on the men's weekend, whenever you get triggered or reactive, or I get triggered or reactive, we're not in our present body right now. We are a younger version of ourselves that just touched something that's really raw.
Yeah.
And if I can take a conscious breath, or you can take a conscious breath and know that this isn't the mature version of yourself, then it's easier to hold space.
Right. And I also think, I agree with you, that is one version. And I also think that sometimes we do bring up things from our present selves.
Of course.
And it's
that's a part
mature,
of it. But when it goes
off the rails.
It goes off the rails. That's
not us. Yeah.
I mean, I guess some people might.
It's a part.
Yeah, it's a part. Anyways.
Or an age.
Yeah.
So the next one that was number 4, repair is real. Number 5, it's not a gendered performance. Okay, this part I love. Because there's no women in it, there's no posturing, pretending to be a nice guy, no manipulation. The men are not auditioning for approval. It feels unfiltered. It feels more real. There's no woman there.
So what's interesting, and I don't even think I'm disagreeing with you, but there are... it seems like these 2 men have a really mature relationship. And I've heard stories about how 2 gay men can have a really immature relationship.
Sure, of course.
So it's really not that these 2 guys are gay. It's just these 2 people who love each other have a really mature relationship.
Well, you watch them build one.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily start there. I mean, the first time they have sex, they're like 17 or 18 years old.
Yeah.
So or 19, I can't remember, but it's before their rookie season.
Yeah.
So of course they're not mature then.
Yeah.
They're just having sex because they want to have sex.
Yeah.
But you watch them build over these years and they become mature.
Yeah.
And the way they treat each other is, even though they do hurt each other sometimes, there's no intentional, I'm trying to harm you.
Yeah.
So boundaries are respected with them without them punishing each other.
Yeah, I kind of get your gist is like there's problems throughout this movie.
Yeah.
But there's no pulling out a knife and Fatal Attraction trying to kill the other person or scream or abuse. They navigate conflict in a healthy way.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that there's not a lot of punishing or withdrawing of affection, that their boundaries don't threaten their bond. Like sometimes they're like, I can't see you for a while, you know? So I need a Kleenex. Hold on. Say something.
Well, I have a lot of important things to say. Oh, I think the light's about to fall. I think you just moved it, but it looks like it's okay.
That's okay. I'm about to sneeze. My nose is running. Okay.
Look up at the lights and sneeze.
I know. I don't want to sneeze because we're doing
Throw
a podcast.
some pepper up your nose.
I'm not going to do that either. Okay. So, like I already said, another one is that trust is built over time. It's not fast tracked. And so you kind of get to watch development rather than be like in 3 days they're in love.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. Neither man.
Yeah, it's a timepiece. Like you see these people evolve.
Yeah. Neither of these men need to be saved.
Yeah.
They don't need to be saved.
Yeah.
So there's no savior dynamic. No one is rescuing the other from brokenness. They choose each other as whole people.
Kind of surprised Ilya. It's so funny I'm having this conversation because I haven't seen this.
No,
damn show.
I like your questions.
I'm surprised that there's not more wounds with Ilya because of the culture shock, and it sounds like his upbringing was pretty bad.
It was. He does have wounds, but he talks about them, and he knows them.
How many people who have serious wounds talk about it? It's such an exception.
It is. And you know, again, it's like so right there. Like, I'm not saying he's a fully healed person.
Of course not. Who is? I'm not. You're not.
No, it's just the way it's not. You'll see when you watch it. You'll be like, okay, you know, he's not super healthy in that way, but he also doesn't hurt anybody with it. Like the thing about trauma or about a history like that, it's less about how you feel and how you are and more about how you behave toward people.
Yeah.
Do you blame? Do you project?
Yeah.
Do you harm others with it? And that's not a really, even though Ilya's a tough player, so you could say that he gets out all of his aggression on the ice.
I'm guessing Shane doesn't fight, but Ilya does on the ice. True or not true?
They don't show a lot of
interesting.
Shane fighting.
Do they show Ilya fighting on the ice?
Well, people want to fight him.
But do they show any fight scenes on the ice? Because that's like the dumbest part about hockey. And I know a lot of traditional hockey players are like, Todd, come on, grow up hair or whatever. It's the dumbest thing in professional sports is that we let these two guys fight.
You know, it's interesting. They focus more on the playing and the goals.
It's so interesting because it's that would be such a, I would say, interesting perspective to build these two characters up. Like,
you're right.
I'm guessing Shane would like bail out. Like I think at Gretzky never fought. He didn't need to. He was too good, and he had all his bruisers come in to save him as they should have. And it sounds like Ilya is probably a little bit more physical and all that, and he's gonna drop his gloves and pound the crap out of somebody.
He I remember in the first 1 or 2 episodes, and I remember this from the book too, Ilya goes on TV, he's being interviewed, locker room, and he says that for his team, he's going to score 50 goals this year.
Okay.
And Shane is watching the interview and goes, oh my God, I can't believe he would say that. Like, because if you do, you're not being a good teammate. You're just focusing on yourself. And if you don't, you're going to be embarrassed.
Oh,
and Shane is like, I would never do that.
Huh.
So now that's not fighting, but it's an example of cockiness.
Yeah, he's
or
boastful.
ego.
Yeah.
So their relationship doesn't ask women to suspend the instincts they have. Nothing makes us as the viewers ignore any red flags or reinterpret bad behavior or hope someone will change. They align with our discernment. Like, what you're seeing and what they're saying is what they really are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? But there's so much. Okay, so let me give you an example of the opposite, and then I'll get into the deeper truth. I've got one more list of things. I was like, it takes it to a new place. We sometimes watch a movie where a man is really brutal and controlling and like will pick up a woman and throw her on the ground and like be really hateful toward women. And at the end, he's the arc. He's the one we have to learn how to love. He's the one who's got to learn how to open his heart. And actually, he's beautiful, but he's been a total piece of shit through the whole movie.
Yeah.
That's so typical.
Well, A Few Good Men. Not that Tom Cruise was doing that in A Few Good Men, but like he was the one that had to have the arc, and Joanne Demi Moore's character was just a solid foundation throughout the movie.
So we have to like in our brain and be like, oh, no, now we love him.
Yeah.
Even though he's all these things.
Can I hear that sound effect one more time? Okay, good.
And when I say that, I use that sound because we've been having to do that to our brains always.
Yeah.
The guys in movies, that what men perceive as masculinity and power is I'm going to be a dick.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like rude to everyone. I'm going to like beat people up. I'm going to do all these things. And then at the end, we're supposed to fall in love with you.
Yeah.
And women have had to do it. That's what movies are like.
So what is the arc for these two characters? You have to watch a show? You don't want
I mean, there's being together, self-awareness, sense of self, their own, they have huge goals in hockey, things that they want to do, people they want to be. What it becomes at the end of the show, and again, it continues, Heated Rivalry is not the end of their story, it's the end of the show, is how are we going to do this together?
Yeah.
And but the first 8 years, they're like, how am I going to do this? So
Right.
they have an individual arc plus their arc together. So here's the deep truth. You ready for this? Give me some drum rolls.
All right, I know how to do that.
Okay.
Oops, wrong one.
Okay, here's the big sentence. Women trust this relationship because it does not replicate the dynamics that have harmed them in the past.
Okay.
Okay? We have been in relationships with, if you're a heteronormative, couple where you're dating a man, that you've had to deal with power over, you've had to deal with feeling afraid, you've had to deal with emotional unavailability, you've had to deal with an inability to be vulnerable, you've had to deal with speaking what you need to speak without dealing with defensiveness, you've had to deal, and again, men could probably give their own list, I'm just speaking from women.
Yeah.
And in this show, they have power and vulnerability and stuff, but there's no harmful dynamics. There's no unavailability. There's no power or oppression. There's no using vulnerability against each other. There's all these pieces that are not there.
Yeah.
And so we feel so safe in this relationship.
Yeah, as you kind of say all this, I know that problems come up, but it seems
Sure.
like that this relationship is a wonderful. It's funny because movies are usually like there's something bad that happened,
right?
And now we need to save whatever bad happened. And it seemed like this, kind of like what you started with when I mentioned Boyhood. It's a show where it's very real, normal human relationship struggles.
Yes.
And nothing big and scary.
Yes. Even though the big and scary part is the cultural homophobia and what their careers
That's what they're up against together.
Exactly.
Instead of this person has this. They both live in this homophobic society and they're navigating it together.
Okay, so I want to have you play my favorite scene, which is a lot of people's favorite scene. I actually have many favorite scenes, but it's number 6.
Okay.
And it says in the hospital. And I want to set it up this way. So what happens is Ilya and Shane kind of have some breakthrough conversations and they're getting along really well. And they're going to be playing each other in this game. And they're like, it's just a good moment when they're on the ice together and they're kind of like, they feel good about each other.
Hey.
But don't play it yet.
Sorry, I thought we were done.
But in the game, Shane gets hit.
Oh, no.
Hard. And he ends up in the hospital. And in the scene, Ilya won't leave the ice. And everyone's like, and they're like, oh, he seems really concerned. He won't leave the ice. But they don't. It's not like, we think they're together.
It would be weird for an opponent to take extra, usually when a guy gets hurt, the trainers and his teammates are around him. And now the opponent is around him.
So there's that moment. And then you also realize, Ilya, 2 things have happened. He's been, now that his mom is gone, that his dad just died. And then now Shane is just been hit really hard.
Somebody else he loves.
And in the book, I find out that they have gotten so deep with each other that Ilya's like, we should probably break up because how are we going to do this? Right? He realizes he loves him and he's like, how are we going to do this? So that from the book. You don't know that in this moment. But then he gets hit on the ice. And then this is a scene where Shane is in the hospital and he's on some drugs and Ilya comes to see him.
That's better.
You scared me.
I was excited about last night. I had a whole plan to ask you something.
Maybe it's better if you just rest now.
I was gonna ask you, will you come to my cottage this summer? Don't go to Russia. Come to my house. We'll have so much fun. It's so private. No one will know.
So he's a little loopy.
He's loopy.
Okay.
We can do that.
We could have a week or even 2. Be completely alone. Together.
Maybe.
That sound is not in that sound, that psycho sound. That's not in the show.
Okay.
Someone made this edit.
Okay.
You're not gonna smother him with a pillow, are you, Mr. Rosenau?
No. But good thinking. But no, I was just leaving.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you next season.
Get well soon, Hollander.
There you go.
Yeah, so there's like that's like the first time that he's like, just come be with me.
Yeah.
Like, because they are only seeing each other, you know, and Ilya knows he loves him and he wants to, but he's like, we can't do that. Like, I can't do that, and it makes him very sad. And then the scene, a few scenes later, is when they see Scott ask his boyfriend to come down on the ice, and then the biggest quote from this show is Ilya calls Shane and goes, "I'm coming to the cottage."
Oh, okay.
So that changes.
That's what the audience wants him to say.
Yes, he's coming, and so you get to. That's all of episode 6 is just them at the cottage. So it's really nice. So this is. I'm going to finish up with Rolling in the Deep here. Like I already said that women trust this relationship, right? We trust it. We trust all the dynamics because it's not the same dynamics we've experienced historically. It doesn't treat emotional unavailability like it's attractive. Emotional unavailability isn't attractive. A lot of shows, it's like, oh, he's so repressed and we got to pull it out of him. That's not what this show is about.
Right.
It doesn't excuse...
Rewrites the book.
Right. It doesn't excuse hurtful behavior by calling it passion. Like... neither of them hurt each other, and then we're like, oh, they just love each other so much, that's why they hurt each other. That's not this.
Yeah.
And it knows the difference between intensity, because it's freaking intense, and actual intimacy. It differentiates. Okay, so there's a lot of like, it's a fantasy for women where power is safe, vulnerability is good, and desire doesn't come at the expense of our dignity. See, I was telling you before about the sex scenes are pretty intense, and there's a lot to it, and there's a lot of things they do that are different, right? Because they're exploring with each other. But that's not made to be bad. They just they're having a really good time, and they're respectful,
consensual
of each other's dignity too.
Yeah.
But they don't like. There's certain scenes where they kind of make fun of each other for certain things. Like there's one I can't remember if this is in the book or in the TV show, but when Shane has an orgasm kind of early or quick, and it's okay. Like they're like, that's okay. But then later Ilya will say something like, well, should we? Because you might, and they both are in on the joke.
Yeah.
No one is
it's
making
not at the expense
fun
of the other.
So that feels safe, right?
Right.
We get to have all this desire, and we get to be kind of creative and playful, and no one's going to make fun of each other or shame each other.
Right.
There's no shame. The shame in this show is not about the sex they're having. It's about the internalized homophobia and the cultural homophobia.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is my last stuff.
Okay.
This fantasy, this show, like, why did this show become so big? It tells us that it's like a kind of a litmus test for our culture, that we are craving this, right?
Yeah.
It's a fantasy, and it's not just about hockey or, a queer relationship. Something we're missing in real life.
You know what it is it bridges, and I haven't seen it yet, but it bridges, if it was just about, there's millions of shows about gay men.
Right.
So why is this one catching on? And maybe it's because it's in the setting of a typical masculine environment, which is hockey.
True.
I don't
That's
know.
part of it. Yeah, and it's the story is all about a desire for emotional safety, mutual respect, and intimacy without power games. It's like for women, that's a fantasy we crave, right? That's something we want. And so there's to watch these two men, and we also in our culture dominant, like, patriarchal, over oppressive, overbearing masculinity is cracking. I know it's still here, and patriarchy has power right now. And again, everybody listening, patriarchy is not a man, it's a system. The system is that men are in charge, and that not only are they in charge, but they're domineering, and there is a culture of sidelining women and queer people.
Yep.
That to prove you're a man, you overpower women and queer people, or you overpower women and queer identities, and also people of color. Like it's like white, there's this power need.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of, it's not that there's not acceptance. There's a belief that if you are at all vulnerable with other people, then you lose your power.
Right.
And this show demonstrates something different. So and then the broader social fallout is so obvious. Like, women are opting out of dating men like this.
Yes.
Men are lonely.
Yes.
I mean, you tell your stories. What are men dealing with right now? Like,
Well,
in the
depends if
culture?
we're talking about, boys and young men or guys my age. But the current thing is that young women are opting out of dating young men because young women feel like they can do this without young men, and
why can they? They're not just doing it because they want to overpower men.
No.
They're doing it because they're not getting their needs met.
Because the typical, I don't want to get in trouble, but there's a lot of kids, a lot of young men gaming, smoking weed, getting drunk. If I'm a woman, I'm like, F that. So how do we manage this? Guys need to step up in a way, we're supposed to be these strong, resilient dudes. And if we're like, well, there's no jobs out there, there's a lot of jobs out there. Figure out how to get a pink job. There's so much need for nursing, for counselors, for teaching, and manufacturing and all these other things are not available.
And
so we need to learn a new skill set. So parents of young men, support your young boy to know that strength is not going out and lifting a bunch of bricks, being on a construction site. If you could do that, that's great. But there's a whole mess of other opportunities out there. But collectively, we're not willing to compromise what we think being a man is, and instead we're just going to numb out.
And we are going to perform those masculine tropes of, sexualizing women, overpowering others, using violence. They're tropes. They're like, it's performative. It's like, this is what I'm supposed to do.
It's what they're being fed by
and it's what they're
by our
being
society.
fed. And they're being told you're not a man unless you do that.
Right.
And
I'm in an organization, and our 5 Men Living foundational suggestions is being conscious, curious, emotional, and intentional. Nowhere in there does it say overpower.
Right.
Emotional. Like, that's my favorite one out of the 5.
Yeah.
Men living emotionally. And we're taught when we're 3 years old that boys don't cry. It's totally messed up.
Yeah, like, power. And again, this show demonstrates lots of different versions of power. And I think sometimes when we say, I'm about to say something and I'm going to like try and put it all together. Today, Todd and I were driving and we saw that a dog was loose, and there was a man who pulled up next to us, and he's like, do you know, is that your dog or whatever? And he's like, okay, that's okay. I'm going to try and figure out whose dog this is. And Todd turns the car around and he goes to help him. And these 2 men, this man I don't know, and then my husband, spend 30 minutes getting this dog so they could bring this dog back to their owner, because it's 1 degree today. That's powerful to me. I said to Todd, I said, that was so lovely. That was so beautiful. And the thing is someone will say, well, that's, they'll make fun of that. Like, that's, what does he care or whatever. And Todd is also powerful in other ways that are more typical traditional masculine, but he has these other pieces to him as well. And that's what, and when I say traditional masculine, not overpowering, but like strength. See, that to me demonstrates strength. See, it's we talk ourselves in a circle.
Just try to redefine masculinity.
Redefine it and broaden it. You know what I mean? So it doesn't have to look like a specific thing.
You know who's masculine, don't you, sweetie?
Who?
So many. I don't know if you heard me counting. I did over 1,000. You have your ubulus muscle that connects to the upper dorsimus. It's boring, but it's part of my life. I'm just going to grab this shirt if you don't mind. Just watch out for the guns.
What's great is Will Ferrell has a very normal guy's body.
Yes.
Like, you can't tell where his bicep is.
Right.
It's just a normal arm. And he thinks he's the shit. Anyways.
2 tickets to the gun show.
That's
sweetie.
right, babe.
So last couple thoughts. So this patriarchal indoctrination, as we're talking about, it sets up men to fail in relationships.
Of course, we're suffering. I mean, we're not gaining anything from the system. We're suffering from it.
Men are taught performance over their presence, dominance over mutuality, agreement, and stoicism instead of self-awareness. And that leads them not very well equipped for intimate relationships, especially with women. Anybody, really. It doesn't matter if it's, queer relationship or not. That's a very difficult blend of things.
Yep.
If you want to be in a relationship. Why? Last thing about like why this relationship feels different. There are no women in this dynamic, which removes that gendered performance piece, and so neither character's trying to impress a woman. You know, like you. So why this is important is I think there are some men who try to be emotional and try to perform vulnerability, but it's performance to have access to women. It's not real. It shows up in things like, no, baby, I love you. You're the only one. Oh no, you make me complete. Everything you do, I couldn't live without you. It's crap. You know what I mean? And sometimes maybe men say that and they mean it, but it would sound so different than the way I just did it. There's a performative vulnerability. And in this, because there's no women around, you trust that these men are not performing.
Right.
They are being who they are for each other because they both grew up with the man box.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's vulnerability without any kind of manipulation. They're not trying to manipulate anybody. They're just kind of being themselves. So it's wish fulfillment for women. When women watch this, they're like, it feels relieving, not just exciting, but relieving. It shows what intimacy could look like if fear and performance and power struggles were removed.
Yeah.
This is what it could be.
Drop the mic there.
I know. So those are my many. I feel like I had so many directions I wanted to go. I don't know if I covered everything. But when people talk about the show, I know they talk about the sex and they talk about that it's gone viral, but I find it to be deeper. Yeah.
What do you want to play to exit the show?
So let me see if I think before we leave, there's just one more clip I want you to play.
Sure.
Play the last one, number 8, parents, because in this show, his parents do find out because they walk in on him.
Happen.
The All-Star game. You two had so much chemistry.
No, it was before then.
Wow. Wow.
So when?
So just for clarification, they're trying to figure out when they got together for the first time?
Basically the parents, the dad walked in and found
Saw
them
them
together.
having sex
So
or
yeah,
whatever.
there's a whole thing there. And then now Ilya and Shane are sitting down talking to them. And the kind of thing that got cut off when you started it is, when did this begin?
Yeah.
And he said, oh wait, the All-Star team, because when they played on the All-Star team together, they crushed it.
Yeah.
They got a bunch of, you know, they did so well. So he's like, oh, you guys had so much chemistry. And they're like, no, it started before then.
Yeah. Okay.
Since our rookie season.
Since your rookie season?
No, it's not true. Since before that.
It's not helpful.
Before?
The summer before.
So you've been in love since...
No.
Oh,
no.
No. No. Just...
Just what?
Just...
Kind of funny.
So yeah, because Ilya uses that word. Again, Ilya doesn't know English very well. And so when they walk in and start to explain, he says, we're lovers. And Shane goes, do not use that word.
Yeah.
He goes, it's gross.
Not a fan.
So it just, even that's funny. Like there's like a consciousness of how people react to that word, even though it's completely true.
Yeah.
So, and then that scene is really beautiful. I tried to use scenes that could give you the gist, but I didn't want to ruin anything for people because there's a lot of scenes, if I played them, then you'd miss them.
Right. You don't want to do that.
I don't want people to miss it. And so maybe I know what you can play.
What?
I have a song that is really big in the show, and I downloaded it, and I will tell you what it is. It was a song that Wolf Parade sings, and it's called... I think it's called I'll Believe in Anything. And it's an important song because Jacob Tierney chose it for the show. When he decided to do the show, he knew he wanted to use it. And it's actually Scott and Kip's song, but they use it really well. So we'll end with this.